What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I want to get into this DL Hughley video where he finally, it seems for the last time possibly, is addressing Monique. All right. So I don't want to waste any time. I just want to get straight into the video and we're going to break it down.
One. That was Faith Evans. You used to love me. So I know that I said that I had done all I could here about this whole Monique situation, but over the weekend, her and her husband released a video where I was doing an interview and I detailed my daughter's sexual trauma. Monique has taken that video and perverted it for her own uses. She's decided to.
So before we get into this, let me just give you a preview if you've been living under a rock or you haven't been paying attention to what I've been breaking down over the last few days. Basically, Monique uncovered an old interview in which D.L. Hughley was on Sway in the Morning talking about his daughter and him failing to protect her and taking accountability for what that looks like, seemingly to bring awareness to what is happening in society and how it's important not only for us to take ownership and responsibility as men, and this is my interpretation of it, you can have your own, but more importantly, to bring awareness to a situation that's happening all over America. And in this ongoing dispute with Monique, right, in which she first tried to make it and seem like it was about a contract and her headlining and things like that. But really what it's doing is it's bringing out the additional toxicity. And for whatever reason, which we genuinely do not know, why she hates and despises D.L. Hughley so much. But this is what he's referring to.
The add on narrative. I will only say this, and I'm answering this now in response to a request from my daughter, who, of course, over the weekend was crying, of course, having her trauma, tried it out in front of the world in a situation she had nothing to do with, that doesn't have anything to do with a contract, would be traumatizing to anybody, particularly when it's from somebody who claims to love us for real. But she proceeded to talk about how I let a man touch my child, which nothing could be further from the truth.
This is why I say it's always important to make sure that we get all of the inside information and facts. So when you see Monique posting all of her hateful content and she's doing these long 1 hour plus live streams on Instagram in which she's not even holding the camera up correctly, when you see this and then you see her insinuate that a grown man, touched his daughter when she was younger, it is a false narrative in order to continue to fake the funk and divert attention from the idea that she is toxic. But more importantly, it always comes back to you and highlights how bad of a person you really are, especially when you don't know what you're talking about. When he just said it couldn't be any further from the truth, it's the same thing that I said when I was breaking down her last live stream. It's insane.
They were both 13 years old. They were friends that had grown up together. She told me about it years later, and when she told me about it, and this is something I lament to this day, denied that I said, well, that's what kids do. Now, that was my estimation of it. It was not her interpretation of it. She was hurt by that.
So this gives a lot more context in that they were both the same age. It was when they were younger. They were 13 years old. And she told him about it years later. And then initially he did not acknowledge, but instead he dismissed the idea that that could have happened simply because, I'm assuming, because they grew up together, because they was young, so on and so forth. And it obviously impacted the daughter in a way that he's had to take ownership and responsibility as the priest and provider and the person that's supposed to shelter his children. But at the same time, is it the narrative that Monique was spinning? First, he's taking ownership and responsibility publicly when he didn't have to. Secondly, is it Monique's responsibility to weaponize that against him when it has nothing to do with what she originally said that she has a problem against? And then third, why is she trying to act like she's for the community when I thought that this was supposed to be about a contract?
And I will never forgive myself for not believing her and B, handling it the way I did. But for Monique, to put a man in that room, which never happened.
Absolutely
and B,
egregious.
To bring up sexual trauma in an argument that has nothing to do with what you're talking about is unconscionable.
I agree.
My daughter Tyler addressed it. My daughter Ryan addressed it with her in a letter. And the thing that I was most proud about in the letter is not only that she held her head high because she's supposed to. The other thing is she said there are legitimate things you could have gone after my father about because my children know exactly who I am. They know that I'm not perfect. They know that I'm flawed. And none of them would have a problem with you assailing things that are really true. But you and your husband putting a man in my daughter's room when that is not what I said and weaponizing it and using in a trite argument shows exactly how low you are.
Not only are you low for doing that, because that's just one of the most egregious things that she's done. She's low for even bringing in his father, who was dead, the dog, the mother. And then it's funny because now you have all of his children, including his oldest daughter, trying to defend the youngest sister because she's dragging everybody as though she has not had a ton of skeletons that's being exposed in her own closet. But this is the toxicity that comes with your angry aunties.
You are a monster.
Absolutely.
You literally are.
Absolutely.
You didn't play Precious. You didn't play Precious's mother. You let her out.
Yep, I agree.
You stopped pretending to be human, and you won a role for being exact. You won a Grammy, Oscar for being exactly who you are.
You could tell the dude is mad because he can't even
and are there for women
even formulate
and
his
protect the
words
baby
correctly.
and would trot out someone's sexual trauma just to use in an argument. I don't know anything about you. I know that what happened to you when you were a child, what happened to you when you were growing up, those things are traumatic to you. And
which she's the one that brought that up in her hateful response and trying to hold D.L. Hughley accountable for something that she was not familiar with his own daughter. She mistakenly brought up her own trauma within her household when she was growing up against her dead father, who she didn't really forgive, even though she said that she did because she's still angry about him. And now somehow, some way, this has become everybody else's problem.
I would never bring them up. Never. It would never occur to me to do it.
Yep.
Because that's not where I live.
I agree.
That's not what I do. You have had this argument or this show be about everything. It was about a contract. It was not. It was about an insult on the radio station, on my radio station. The question never aired. You know it never aired.
They never aired it, and he was never even there, and he wasn't the one that asked the question in the first place. Toxicity.
You continue to have this, and then you have the temerity to answer my daughter's letter with an invitation to come on my show. I will never let you on my show. Never.
Facts.
You will never talk to my children.
Good.
I will never have anything to do with me. You do not exist.
This dude said, yo, you ain't never coming on my show, none of that. Even though the daughter pulled up and said, I won't smoke. But now she going to try to act like the daughter didn't want smoke when she just trying to get another audience and trying to get another leg up on something that you didn't help to create or you're not actually adding value to.
Maybe leaving my children out of your mouth will leave you room for the food you love so much.
Oh, Jesus. Did he say the food that you love so much? Oh, God. Talk about throwing rocks. Jesus.
Look, you can continue to do whatever you want to me. That is fair game. I'm in this business. For you and your husband to continue to do things like this, you have already, first it was a contract. You've attacked everything. The dog, my wife, now my children. Enough.
Yep. I agree.
Enough. You do
when
not
does it
exist
end?
to us. You don't get to break my family. You don't get to do that. I don't know if you ever had a man who loved you as much as I love my children. I don't know if you've ever had anybody who's standing in your stead, because the man next to you damn sure ain't doing it. All he's doing is wrecking what's left of the rubble of a career that you're pretending to build, trying to build back.
Facts, because I think that this Sidney Hicks guy is quite possibly one of the weakest men that I've ever seen that can't even put two sentences together. Both of them are run on, and then he use and conflate words to make them try to mean something that they really don't. And he's a simp for being in a space to where I really don't even tell people what to do in their bedroom. But when you openly share it with us, it's open and fair game for us to be able to have a conversation about it because that's what you wanted in the first place. I think the dude is the weakest dude I've ever seen.
Leave my children alone. Stay with me and we're fine. You're a horrible woman. You love women like Ike loves Tina. And that girl over
Jesus
there,
Christ.
well, I shouldn't call you a girl, this woman over here, you know one thing for sure. I love you. And I'd never let it. And I'm your daddy for real. And you don't have to pay me for it.
Talk to him.
One day I hope that you're happy and you can stop being such a miserable, low human being.
Ugly.
Maybe
Human
one
being.
day you will get to be as small as you often act. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming.
Yo, I think he absolutely killed it. I think he summarized it perfectly. I think that it's necessary for you to punch back, and I don't think that you always have to be the bigger person. I think being a bigger person is through your actions, and it's not necessarily based off of the fact that you should not comment on when somebody is completely throwing every single rock, boulder, and missile launcher into your household. I'm not a fan necessarily of DL Hughley's politics, and you guys already know that, especially when it comes to Black community and issues. However, I am a fan of how he does business and the fact that he stands up for his family as like a man. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. I'm curious as to what everybody else thinks about this. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you follow me on every other social media platform, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. We are doing the work on all of those platforms. And then last but not least, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. And if you need to kick it with me personally, Anton Daniels 413 at gmail.com is my email address. And we will get you scheduled and we're going to do some work with you. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But until you do that, I need you to do me one more favor before you go. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, because we don't want to be successful by ourselves. We'd love to have you as a part of our community, our growing community. Patreon link is in the description. We're going to continue to do the work. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace, family.